The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, good morning. This is Travis McGrath. I'm the Director of Client Services here at Exago. Thanks for joining us on this support lab. On today's lab, we're going to be doing a deep dive of our upcoming release, our version 2018.2. We're going to be looking at two specific end user features, sort of as a sneak peek here. I've got an early build. Just to make sure everyone can see my screen and hear me okay, if you can put a hello, a good morning, a Y, a yes, something in the question panel down in the right. Okay, perfect. Seems like a lot of the folks here know the drill, so I'm coming through loud and clear. That's great. If you have any questions as we go, feel free to pop them in that panel down there, and we'll answer them either as we present or at the end of the presentation here. Today's presentation is going to be pretty quick. So we're going to look specifically at two features. So on the agenda, we're going to look at our built-in tutorial, which is going to be new to 2018.2, and some enhancements to our Google Map capabilities, specifically the ability to conditionally format the drop pins and to add hyperlinks to the locations on your map. So without further ado, we're going to jump right in there. I just want to reset one setting so that everything's good. So here I have a local installation of version 18.2. As always, if the color, the language, the environment doesn't quite line up with your specific experience, that's fine. Exago is an integrated application. So we want to look at two things. The first one is a feature we call tutorials in our ExpressView designer. So as a user, this is the first time I'm coming into this new environment. I'm going to open up our ExpressView designer, which many of you are familiar with. We've done as labs in the past. And as I come in here now, I'm going to see that I'm welcomed on sort of a landing page that says, welcome to our ExpressView designer. Here's our drag and drop interface. And like all good tutorials, I'll be able to skip. So if I feel like I'm very experienced, I can say, no, thank you. But I want to walk through and see where it leads me. And what it's going to do is highlight the different areas of the application so that it's easy for a new user to understand where everything is. So on my left, of course, I have my data. And as it leads me around, it doesn't want me to quite get started yet. So I'm going to hit this next button, which you can see sort of jiggle and prompt me as it works. So it lets me know my data is over here on my left. And then it guides me across the top, showing me how I can see live data, how I can save and export my ExpressViews, how I can refresh for new data, create visualizations, and so on. It brings me over to the right-hand menus to show where I can style my ExpressView, where I can change the sorts and filter criteria, continue and modify those visualizations I may have made. And then when it gets to the end of the tutorial, you'll notice down here it says 11 of 11. It gives me an option if I want to not show the tutorial again. That was nice, but now I know my way around. Or I could hit finish, and the next time I come in, I'll be given that tutorial a second time. So the tutorials themselves utilize a feature called user preferences. In our technical lab next week, we're actually going to talk about this very feature. So I won't go into details on this now, but I'll sort of showcase those changes later on. Great, so a couple of reactions have come in the question marks and people saying it looks really good. So to that, I just want to say thank you. Another question was, from an administrative standpoint, can this tutorial be customized? Can the look and feel and text of the tutorial be changed? And the answer is absolutely. We've done some technical videos on integration before and changing the look and feel of Exago and the multi-language capabilities, and that's core to our application. That's absolutely true of this tutorial mode as well. The other thing that comes with our tutorials is the ability to have hints in the application. So here, for example, the first time I drag a field into my ExpressView as a user, I get a hint, a couple of hints telling me like, hey, this button right here, this is a radial menu. you might want to check this out. And down below, here are our calculations. You might want to be able to do some summary functions. Here's where that dropdown resides. So I can find more information there. And in fact, I'm just going to build a very quick report here. As I go to use the radial menu in the ExpressView Designer, if I use it to say group, I can have some other hints here to explain what just happened, why there was a change on my screen, what's going on, and give some examples here. And of course, as I just mentioned, the text here and the examples can be customized as well. So that's the first feature I wanted to showcase, is this tutorial built into the ExpressView Designer. And our goal here is to have this expand over time into other features of our application. So we built it in here, and as you have a chance to use our 18.2 version, if you have any thoughts, feedback on this feature, this will be something we'll be expanding into other parts of our application and platform. I just want to pause there and see if there were any other questions on the tutorials. Okay, great. I don't see any other questions coming in. So the other thing I want to do here is I'm going to open up an unfinished report. So here I have a simple report. Like I like to do with reports, I always look at the sections. This report is just giving us by company. It's giving us some metrics about where they are and how much revenue they've generated. And what I want to do is I have this map already built, and if I run the map, it looks good. I got information all over the world, and a user can drill in from a country to a state or province down to an individual data point to show that revenue. But maybe I want to look at this and say, oh, well, this one has very low revenue. These are much higher, 100. I want some maybe I need to worry about, or which ones are higher and we're happy with. So what we're going to do is edit this Google map. We've already got it set up with our location data. It's already counting our revenue. If we want, we can format that revenue. This will be, give it currency symbols and thousand separators, pretty simple stuff. But if I go over to our Appearance tab, I'm going to have a new option here called Conditional Drop Pins. And this will bring up a menu that, if you've seen our support lab on conditional formatting, should look pretty familiar. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say I want to color dark red, and then I'm going to build a condition. So in this case, I already have my condition built here, but I'm going to say the metric value, and I can grab that up above, or I can just paste it in here, is less than, I'm going to say 10,000. That's going to be my cutoff. So if it's less than 10,000, that's going to return true, and it's going to color this red. And if it's more than 10,000, and I can just copy paste here, the metric value, in this case the revenue, is going to be green. And then I'm going to hit finish, and I'm going to run this again so we can see the Google map. And if I drill in here, again, I'm just going to go up to Washington. I'll notice, some of my dots are red and some are green. This gives me an easier visual indicator of where I need to look to see, hey, why is this the way it is? Awesome. So with that, there's one other addition to the Google Maps that I want to show you. So here, I'm just going to edit my report, and I'm going to unsuppress the group footer section that shows us, our company, their location, and their revenue information. And in this example, instead of just having the company name field, I have a formula, and we've worked with hyperlink formulas in the past that will, in this case, we're just doing a simple Google search as an example, but it'll link to, in this case, a URL that searches for a company's name. Now, of course, this URL can be dynamic. You notice here I'm concatenating together a data field and a string. It could be a field, maybe the customer's website is some data that we already have. But it's just displaying as the company's name. And in this case, I'm still going to suppress it. I don't want to see all this row by row information. But on my map, I want to be able to have that hyperlink available. So when I come in here to edit my map, I'm just going to double click. And when I go to data, I have a metric to that cell with that hyperlink. But obviously, aggregating a company name doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Are you trying to count it? Are you trying to, summing up a name doesn't really mean much. So we've added a new aggregate type called none. And what I can do here, if I just run my report, is on the map, when that aggregate type is none, it means at each location, it's going to just display the value of that text. And so here, if I drill down to, I'm just going down to Washington. I'm feeling sort of Seattle today. I don't have my conditional formatting on this one, but simply I can look around, and for each company, I can now see that company's name as the hyperlink we created using a formula. And if I click on one, I'll see that the hyperlink is live, and it opens up in a new tab for me, dynamically copying in each company's name. A great question came in about the conditional formatting in maps, and the answer is yes. So the question was, when you go to this appearance tab, this conditional drop pin color menu, is that new to 2018.2? And absolutely. So this is the new feature, one of the two new enhancements to Google Maps. So this ability to create these conditions and have these conditions show dynamically based on either the metric value or maybe the location. Maybe you want everything in Washington to be green and everything in Oregon to be orange or something like that. Great. So that was a great question to have come in. Okay, so with that, I want to sort of reiterate. So in the Google Map Designer, we have our two enhancements with our conditional drop pins and our hyperlinks. And in the ExpressView Designer, we have our tutorial built in for new users. I don't want to dive into any other new features of 18.2. We'll of course have our release webinar, as we do with each major release, where we'll go through all those features. But for this support lab, we just wanted to give a little bit of a sneak peek into those upcoming features. So I'm going to pause for questions in just a minute, but before I do that, I wanted to say, of course, thanks for attending this week's lab. Next week, we'll be doing a technical lab on the user preferences that drive the tutorials in ExpressViews and some updates to that. We'll be recovering some features we've talked about before and adding some new information. And then in December, we're going to have two labs, one showcasing another new feature in 18.2 called Filter by Formula. And the technical lab will be on custom filter functions. So December will be all about filters, showcasing some new things and some built-in features as well. So with that, again, I just want to reiterate and say thanks for attending this month's End User Support Lab. I'll stick around for a few minutes and answer questions as they come in. And when you leave, we have a survey. We always appreciate if you can fill that out. We love getting feedback. And if you have ideas for future labs that you'd like us to do, write them in there. Most of our labs these days are coming from suggestions from folks on calls here. Okay, a question came in on the ability to Let's see. I'm trying to parse this question. Oh, great, of course. A really obvious question here. We've been showcasing a sneak peek of our 18.2 features, and a question came in asking, when is that release going to come out? And so our release date for 18.2 is next Friday on the 16th of November. Okay, great. So with that, I just want to reiterate, thank you for attending, and we'll hopefully see you on next week's lab as well, and on the end user lab on December 12th. Happy reporting.